Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football. We are a week away from kicking off the 2022 college football season, and we're taking a look at some of the week 0 games that I'm intrigued on, not only from a betting standpoint, but just from a college football standpoint. And we're taking a look at the Florida State Seminoles as they play the Duquesne Dukes. Now, I don't have a betting play for you guys today. We're just talking about what I want to see from the Florida State Seminoles, a team that I consider kind of a sleeping giant in the ACC and in the country, a very talented team that hasn't really played up to their standards or talent level the last couple of years. Before we get into it, I'm going to pull up the roster, talk about some players that I want to see and what I want to see from Florida State. But before that, again, just want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. A lot of you Florida State fans enjoyed our summer preview of the team. So if you do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate it. We love talking ball with you guys in the comment section. And then, let us know in the comment section which players I should be looking for. You guys are plugged in with this Florida State team more than I am. Appreciate all the support. Let's start talking some football. I'm going to pull up the depth chart because that's what I'm a little bit more concerned with than I am this game. Now, if Florida State loses this game, you guys have more concerns than we might thought if this game is even close. But Florida State should take care of business by probably 30-plus points. And if you're a Florida State fan, it's more about what you see from this team than it is the score of the game and whether they cover the spread. Now, last year, you take a look at what happened. They played Notre Dame at home, and it was, for one, a phenomenal environment. Absolutely bumping plays. Bobby Bowden Memorial game. Florida State played extremely well, wasn't able to close the game out against Notre Dame. And you saw that kind of shook their confidence as the next game they lose to Jacksonville State at home. They lose to Wake Forest and Louisville and start the season 0-4. Now, we saw a Florida State team that was way, way better, and just it looked different the last 8 games where they went 5-3. Jordan Travis was given the keys to the car, and he's looked really good. Now, he's coming into his 5th year, and if there's a guy like Kenny Pickett you're looking at where consistent, steady improvement over the last couple seasons that Kenny Pickett had, and then he broke out his last year at Pitt, I think this can be very similar to Jordan Travis's trajectory. You look at what he's done. He's gotten better throwing the football every single year he's been at Florida State. Now, yes, his skill set is he's one of the best athletes on the field. He uses his legs a lot, and he should. That's part of his game. But what you're really inspired about is how much more accurate he's been and more efficient he's been the last couple of years, especially last year where he completed 63% of his balls with a wide receiver group that wasn't that good. And that's what I want to talk about first is how do these wide receivers look? Again, you as a Florida State team, I think their confidence was a little shook the last couple of years. They just didn't believe they could win these games. You have an easy kind of cakewalk game against Duquesne before you go in to New Orleans and play LSU, which is a very, very winnable game for Florida State. You want to see this offense fire on all cylinders, get that chemistry with the new faces at wide receiver, and get that confidence going. And the one guy I want to see get 10 touches this game is a guy like Micah Pittman. He comes from Oregon. He's a former top 100 recruit, and he's a guy that Florida State, quite frankly, has just – it's a player that they lacked. A guy that you can get the ball to in space and let him be explosive. You look at the wide receiver play from last year. Deshaun Corbin led the team in receptions last year. There wasn't really a wide receiver that you look at and were scared of. It's a talented group, but it's a group that just really didn't perform, and they have some transfers coming in. Obviously, Winston Wright getting banged up in the car accident hurts, but a guy like Micah Pittman, a guy like Johnny Wilson, you want to see those guys get the ball in space and let them really cook and let these wide receivers get some confidence. It's really hard if you're a really one-dimensional offense, and Florida State kind of was that last year. They were 94th in passing. They definitely leaned on the run game, which was a very good aspect of their offense, but they really struggled to push the ball through the air. And when you struggle to produce those explosive plays through the air, it's hard to consistently put up points. Really, we talk about it a lot. Going 12, 15 plays down the field, very hard to do at the college football level. It requires a lot of consistency, and it really requires perfection. Can't have missed throws. You can't have turnovers. If you can hit some explosive plays, and instead of going 15 plays, 75 yards, you go 4 plays, 75 yards, and score a touchdown, that's how those top offenses put up numbers, put up points. And that's what you're looking for Florida State doing. So when I'm looking at the offense, I want to see some chemistry built with Jordan Travis and those talented wide receivers. Again, a guy like Malik McClain, Ontario Wilson, I really like their game. Second, I want to see the offensive line. Robert Scott Jr. is a very, very good left tackle. I'm extremely excited to see him. You have Dylan Gibbons, Caden Lyles coming from Wisconsin. Want to see the offensive line protect well. Let Jordan Travis work from the pocket. Don't let him run for his life. And also, let's get some run blocking going. Guy like Trey Benson looked awesome in the spring game. Treshaun Ward, awesome. Lawrence Tufali, kind of a scat back that when he's in space, he's very, very explosive and can be kind of a guy that you can lean on for some of those explosive plays. And so from an offensive side of the ball, you want to see Jordan Travis, and this is what I'm looking for. If Florida State's a team that I'm going to like and be picking a lot, I want to see Jordan Travis continue that progression of just efficient passing. We're not looking for him to be an all-time pocket passer and put up 4,000 yards this year. But you want to see an increased efficiency. You want to see increased accuracy. You want to see some increased playmaking ability from these wide receivers. Now, the defense, this is where I think Florida State can really butter their bread. I think this defense is absolutely loaded. We'll start with the defensive line. You look at Jermaine Johnson. You lose him to the NFL, an absolute force. I thought he was extremely underrated in the NFL draft process. I had him as a top 10 prospect. He was an absolute beast on the outside in the run game and in the pass rush. You got to be looking at Jared Verse. He's a guy that it's very rare to have guys transfer in from a school like Albany, an FCS team, and look the part day one. Jared Verse did that. You look at him in the spring game, and you just look at him from a physical body standpoint. He looks like he can be a dominant edge defender at the ACC level. I want to see him put it together. Guy like Derek McClendon, very, very good football player. But where I think this team is really special, and I think it's one of the best units in the ACC, probably only behind Clemson, is that defensive tackle spot inside with a guy like Robert Cooper and Fabian Lovett. Two of the probably best interior defensive line duos in the country. I want to see them push pockets. I want to see – Florida State was very good against the run, considering their linebacker play was just not good. And so there's large part because those two guys up front were extremely dominant. That takes me to the next point. I want you need to have better linebacker play than Florida State's had the last couple of years. I mean, they've had some of the worst linebacker play in the ACC and in the country. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of blown assignments. You get a guy like Tatum Bethune, you want to see him come in from UCF and gel. He's a guy that had 100-plus tackles for UCF last year. He's produced at the college football level. He has a lot of experience. I want to see him come into Florida State and kind of be that signal caller, that true Mike linebacker that makes a lot of plays. Another guy, Amari Gaynor. He's a guy that I feel like has all the talent in the world, just hasn't quite put it together on the field. And then in the secondary, you have a lot of guys that you like. Akeem Dent, I like him a lot. Jamie Robinson, I like him a lot. And then keep an eye on Sam McCall, the true freshman. He's going to get some burn. And will he be a contributor the first couple of weeks? Maybe not, just because he's an 18-year-old kid, hasn't played college football in his life. But look for him to get some burn against Duquesne and show that he can kind of hang at this college football level as a true freshman. He obviously coming in as one of the best recruits in the country. Excited to see him. And this Florida State team, to close out, is a team that I'm extremely excited for. I don't think anybody in the country will argue with me in the fact that they're a very talented team. You look at what they did to finish out the season. Their only losses came on the road at Clemson, only by 10 points. We're hanging in that game. Playing NC State, and then on the road at Florida. They beat teams like Miami, on the road at Boston College. This Florida State team was one of the better teams in the country to finish that stretch after starting 0-4. I want to see Florida State take that momentum that they had late last season and continue it in 2022. If you see a really, really high-octane offense against Duquesne week one, you're rolling into LSU. I like LSU right now in that game, but I think Florida State can absolutely have a chance. And it's two teams that are very talented and just haven't really produced the last couple of years at the college football level. That's going to be a really fun game. And Florida State's a team that ACC teams don't want to see. They're a very talented team. They can get after you up front on the defense side of the ball. And they have a quarterback that is kind of a game breaker with his athleticism. And if he can put that together with efficient passing, again, I'm not asking for him to throw for 4,500 yards. I just want to see increased efficiency, increased accuracy from Jordan Travis. this team can be dangerous in the ACC. It's a team that I'm going to have my eye on. I'm going to be watching this game, not necessarily to see if they're winning, but I want to see how they look. And guys, Florida State, a team to watch. Again, appreciate you guys checking us out. If you guys do like the content, we try to talk a lot of Florida State on the channel. We appreciate you guys checking us out. And consider subscribing to the channel if you like the content. We'll talk to you later. Peace.